Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Thursday the 2nd of April. It is where I'm sitting here in Denmark. It is actually a bank holiday just before Easter and Good Friday. There will be no updates tomorrow, but there will be today where I will go through the market. And just before I go through all the markets, two things I have to say. First of all, this video is for educational purposes only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever. The second one is that my videos will be published on Substack, my Substack account, which is also called Kramer's Corner. It will be published there first before anywhere else, and there will be much more videos and small videos on single stocks and on commodities in the future. Already it's been there, much more than on YouTube and other places, and it will be the name of the game going forward that I will publish more and more on Substack than I do on YouTube. So I'm moving most of my stuff to that platform. So Substack, you can find the link below here on YouTube in the comments section. All right, let's start with US market last night that kept bouncing higher. Nasdaq closed just above 24,000. But just below this little resistance there. But what is actually more interesting is what happened overnight after Trump's speech to the nation. He mentioned that he said that the war with Iran will continue, so that has some repercussions for the market, and we can see here that futures has been sliding lower. And if you have been watching my video that I uploaded yesterday on single stocks, where we saw all these bouncing, that I said we could easily turn around again after this strong bounce. I didn't expect it to be over and blue skies ahead. So now this seems to play out, and we could expect market to open much lower in the US today and in Europe also a little bit later. But we have a setback here on the Nasdaq future after peaking just above 22,207.86 retracement. You can see it's already being sold off here. The S&P 500, well, it didn't get up to the resistance there at 66.34, and here just overnight we can see that the future is declining, and I think we can, going into next week, we could see that the future and the overall stock market will continue lower, and also possibly taking out those lows there. And we can see here on the weekly what's going on. It was actually warming up for a strong bounce, but I think we will see lower levels. Negative sentiment both on daily and weekly is what there is. And here we have the Dow Jones future also selling off, and expect that to be the case going forward here, going into the week after Easter. I mean, all signals are pointing to lower levels. Russell 2000, I don't have any future on this, but it did also bounce yesterday, but it couldn't hold on throughout the session. Looking at the Asian session there on Hang Seng, it got sent lower by 1.5%, as we can see, and it could once again in the coming days. And I don't believe that there is a bank holiday tomorrow either in Hang Seng. I don't think they will celebrate Easter out there. So expect selling pressure to increase going also into next week. The Nikkei future down 3%, massive sell-off there after a strong bounce, as we can see. Rejected there the 55 moving average, likely to push lower in the coming weeks, but it's still 50,250. That is the key support. Europe market bounced strongly. Yesterday we saw EuroStoxx50 up in 3%, touching just the upper part of the gap there. Let's see, I did it fine. Yes, it did. It just maybe touched it apart from a cent or two, and but it closed just below it. But look at what's going on here pre-market. There's still more than an hour before it actually opens. in Europe, and we can see the futures slash the EU50 CFD already selling off again here, more than 2% down compared to where it closed yesterday, where it actually lifted even higher. But I think we will see it also going south in the coming days and weeks. So expect a bad end to the week. And of course, Europe will be closed tomorrow, but I believe most of the markets are open today. We saw DAX yesterday closing in this gap area here, just below 23,300, but also here pre-market it is being sold off again, and it's moving back below 23,000, and I think we could see that scenario play out here in the coming weeks. On the FX front, also there has been some movement. We have seen a bounce in euro dollar just below the 116.40 resistance there, just above the 786 retracement at 116, and now it's turning around again, and I think we will see it pushing lower. We can draw a trend line here on the RSI. So if it breaks below that one, followed by a break below 40 threshold, expect a pressure to the 114. It needs to get back above this 116.40 to establish a bullish trend, and I don't think we will see that anytime soon. Again, it's not advice, it is just what the market says, that the chart says at the moment. We have cable or sterling dollar that bounced yesterday, not all the way up to the 61.8, just within a few pips, and then it sat back, and we could see a pressure to the downside. And I think in a couple of days, the 131.60 support down here will be taken out, and we could be looking at 130 level. Euro sterling reached almost within a few pips from the 786 retracement there at 87.46, and now setting back a little bit. And what you can do if you're a short-term trader, really short, you can take a Fibonacci from this move here also up to this peak. Let's see, this is the peak there, and it could set back down to the 38.2 retracement there at 86.80. Where we then have the 55 moving average coming up. But I think we will see higher levels on euro sterling in the coming weeks. But it's a battle between the sterling and the euro also, so that will also be key to watch. On the dollar yen side, sorry, let's just resize that. We have dollar yen that bounced from the just above the 786 retracement there, peak almost down to it, and then bouncing. And so the uptrend there in dollar yen is intact. And if it's moved higher, and if we see RSI back above the falling trend line and back above 60 threshold, well, then I expect higher levels in dollar yen towards 162. The euro yen basically still sideways. Key strong resistance here at 184.80. But you can see here we have rising lows. And it looks a bit like a ascending triangle going on. So the question is, will it turn around or will it be a continuous one? That would be key here. Watch out for breaking below the rising trend line and below 182.50. The Aussie yen trying to bounce here after this setback there. If it takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago at 108.75, then, and you can see why say 75, it says 77, yeah, but I always subtract a little bit, just to give a little bit of, because it is an OTC market, and it could be, maybe should even be 108.70, but nevertheless, we are still above the cloud, trading around the 55 moving average, still positive sentiment on the RSI, hasn't closed below 40 threshold, but if it moves back below this lows there, then we are likely to see negative sentiment coming in. The sterling yen bounced from the 61.8 retracement there at 209.50, and could keep bouncing. That will be key to watch in the next few days. We also saw the RSI bouncing from the 40 threshold. So if it can really get back up in the region around the rising trend line there, then we could have another go at the 230 spot for 30 a strong resistance level that should be observed. What I will do, I will add Fibonacci. If I'm very short trader, we can also do that. We see it actually bounced to the 50%. So if it takes out 211.50, well, then there is potential higher to the resistance up there. That will at least indicate that. We have the Aussie dollar being rejected there at 69.45, resistance peak just about, but then rejected. And if it takes out 68.30 there, well, then expect a push down to around 67.65, or we have some support coming back from there. But we could actually see it all the way down to around 67. However, I think if it takes out the peak from yesterday at 69.65, well, then we could see a bounce up towards and above 70 again. On dollar Canada is still in a bullish trend. It had a little bit of correction yesterday. I actually expected it to be lower than that, but it seems like now it's turning around. And if it moves back above these 139.30, then I think it will also take out the peak there and push higher above 140 in the coming days and weeks. Moving on to Euro Swiss. A little bit of a setback we saw, but still in a bullish trend. And so set back yesterday, bouncing here again, sending back to the 61.8 retracement there. If it crosses back above the 100 moving average and the 92.20 area, then I think we will see a push higher and also possibly taking out this peak here with a push towards 93.5. However, if it slides back below yesterday's low and back below the 91.25 down here, 91.20, then bearish trend is in session, but I don't believe so. I think we'll see it pushing higher. The dollar Swiss still trading in this tight or very narrow range, rising range here, this channel-like pattern, bouncing and dipping a little bit below a couple of times, but it's usually overnight where the liquidity is quite low and the trend is still up, and we could see it testing the 80.40 key resistance level here one again. If it takes it out, well, then there's potential up to 81.50, possibly up to 82, unless it takes out the lows here from a few days ago at 78.40, 50 area here, but I don't think so. We can see the moving average are turning around here, 100 slowly turn around, 200 also, and 55 coming up. We have positive sentiment. Finally, on the dollar index, dip to the 786 retracement just above 99.05 and then bouncing. And I think we will have another go at the resistance up there at 100.35 and adding a Fibonacci to it there. We can, if you're very short-term trader, you can see maybe there's a minor resistance here around 100, but if it takes out the peak there, expect to move up towards 101.82. Then let's have a look at the metals market. We saw a bounce yesterday, and if you saw my update yesterday, also the past few days, you could see I predicted we could have a push up to around 4,800, 4,840. We didn't get all the way up there, but we got up to the 61.8 retracement, just a few pips from it, for a few cents from it, and then it got knocked back down. And I think now we will see it turning around. We are below the support there at 46.58, and downtrend is likely to resume. Negative sentiment indicating lower levels. And let's have a look at the future, if that's giving us something. It closed there yesterday at 47.84.6, open here at 48.25. Let's see, no, 47.83. So 47.83. So we are not forming a bearish engulfing, but again, you can see it being rejected there at 61.8 retracement. I think we will see lower gold levels here going into the Easter holiday period. Silver also got knocked back down, only got up to the 50% retracement and the 100 moving average, and also now turning sour and could push lower here in coming days and weeks. We have the platinum also being rejected there just below resistance in 1997. Expect lower levels. Copper also It did try to establish a bullish trend, but knocked that back down. And if it moves back below the rising trend line there, which is not a very strong support anyway, expected to push lower, and it could test the 540 support, and these lows here again around 525. And then, of course, what it's all about at the end of the day is the crude oil. Here, WTI crude oil that dipped below the 38.2 retracement yesterday, but overnight has regained its strength, and I think we'll see a push higher in the coming days towards previous peak at 120. So that is something that is worth to keep an eye on, unless it takes out the lows from yesterday, which I don't believe it will. But again, it's not a recommendation; it's just what I believe. Make your own analysis and your own mind up to what you think will happen. But I think we'll see WTI crude oil pushing higher. We have Brent crude oil that actually got knocked down for the third time up here, but I think we could now see it pushing towards that level again. And we dipped below the 786 retracement, actually, but quite volatile. And I would add another one here from this to this low, and we are pushing higher. So you have some levels to go for, but I think we will see higher lows. Unless it takes out the lows from yesterday, it's not really in the cards, I would say. However, there is some divergence, but we still have positive sentiment on the R side. I would expect higher levels, and next week we could see another go at the 120 level here on the just below it on the Brent crude oil. It could be tested. European nat gas hasn't opened just yet as I'm recording this video here. It's still from yesterday, but expected to open higher. It is still in this bullish scenario, but it was sliding back and could have taken out 45, 43 here. And if it did, then it would slide lower, but I would expect it to open higher and push higher. US nat gas, not really much to talk about. It is basically just sliding lower and towards the support down here around 260. Moving on to the Treasury yields, it didn't get all the way down to the 425. It turned around to 427. RSI, as we speak, as I'm recording this, back above 60 threshold, so still positive sentiment, and we could see the US 10-year Treasury yield pushing higher in the coming days and weeks. And I think here up towards the Good Friday, where it's probably closed most of the time, then we could see it crawling higher. And if it takes out the 448, 488 resistance up there, then expect a push much higher on the yields. It's not good for the economy, but that's how it is at the moment. Looking at the European yields, just opened there, unchanged, but I think it will push higher throughout the session. We are still in a bullish trend. It did set back to the 38.2 retracement there at 294 and then bounced, and I think it will bounce further here in the coming days going into next week. The UK 10 also set back to the 38.2 retracement. It's not open just yet, but I think it will bounce here the next few days and could push towards previous peak. Japanese 10-year already taking out the peak there, and the uptrend is intact, and I think we'll see it pushing higher towards 250, 251 here also in the coming weeks. And finally, let's have a look at Bitcoin. Maybe now it will have an effect on Bitcoin, because it actually been in a slightly bullish trend, but then it turned around and the bearish trend has evolved or been established. Hasn't been confirmed, but it could be it if it takes out the lows here from a few days ago, just around 65,000, and then we could see the 60,000 to come under pressure again. Ethereum, also same picture there. If it takes out the lows here from a few days ago at 1940, well, downtrend towards 1740 is in the cards. All right, that's all for today and for this week. It's one of the most holiest day tomorrow. It's Good Friday, and I'm not shooting any video. But again, check out my Substack. I will publish more there than I will on on YouTube in the future, and there will be also some more educational stuff, and it will be divided into asset classes. So I will have equities in one, I have commodities, and I have the forex market in one. So you can just go in and look at exactly the asset class that you will check out. All right, have a nice day and good Easter to all of you, and keep charting out there.